Okay, I made it. I made it. All right, chat. Are you ready?
I am. It's time. Here we go. Oh.
You good?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Overwatch 2 Developer PvP live stream. I'm your host, Matt Mr. X, and throughout the stream, I'll be joined by some awesome content creators and developers from the Overwatch team as we learn more about Overwatch 2's PvP by watching some of these awesome maps in action played live. It's going to be an extremely exciting day. As Aaron mentioned during the developer update, everything you see today is work in progress, but, you know, being able to see some of this stuff, you know, day in and day out, it's truly awesome. Really excited for what the Overwatch team has to show for you guys today. So let's bring on some of my guests throughout the day. I'll be joined by the members of the Overwatch dev team. It's Associate Art Director Dion Rogers, Lead Hero Designer Jeff Goodman, and Game Director Aaron Keller. How you guys feeling today?
Yeah, so much for having us.
Yeah, the delay.
It's going to be exciting. Now, we've learned so much about the PvE aspect of Overwatch 2. And we've learned some stuff about, you know, PvP, you know, with push, role passives, you know, new heroes. You saw Sojourn at BlizzCon Line. What else has gone into the development process for Overwatch 2's PvP?
You're right. We've talked a lot about the story side of Overwatch 2 and the cooperative PvE.
There's the shot. That's the shot everyone thinks it's 5v5.
But
that's not what it was.
The Overwatch team has also been hard at work on the PvP side of the game. We're making new features, new heroes, new maps, some of which will be playing today.
For this.
And we've also been looking at the way PvP is played. It's changed over time on the live game. And we'll talk about a lot of the changes that we want to be making and that we're currently making to PvP. But there's one in particular that I want to highlight right now because it's substantial. And I think it has a big impact on the way the entire team approaches PvP on Overwatch 2. And it's also something
Is that an AirPod
really
on his mic?
excited about. Overwatch has always been played with 2 teams of 6 players. Overwatch 2 will be played with 2 teams of 5 players.
Oh, it is confirmed. It's real.
2 DPS.
Holy shit.
1 tank.
Right. I mean, my next question was gonna be like, okay,
holy shit, it's real.
So we still have a breakdown across the board. It's not completely open. So
wow.
1 tank, 2 DPS.
Play Overwatch nailed it. They actually nailed it.
What led you guys down the road to make this change?
Well, buddy, it was a good run.
There are a lot of reasons for why we wanted to make this change.
Well, it's fun playing with you, dude.
As I said earlier,
yeah.
Overwatch has changed over time. We've tried to make our combat easy to read and very understandable. And even with all of the work that we put into that, sometimes it's just hard to track what 11 other players are doing on the battlefield. Removing 2 of those simplifies everything, and it allows players to understand everything that's happening around them and to be able to make better choices because of it. This change obviously has a really big impact on tanks. And we will get into some of the changes that we're making to tanks and to some of the other roles in a bit. But tanks can be problematic. They're a DPS hero is simple. They're shooting. But a tank has abilities that can be noisy, or when stacked with other tanks can cause problems for other teams to try to overcome and counter. Like and a great example of that is 2 main tanks on the field. Sometimes that can be very oppressive to another team. I think with 5 players out there is a greater chance of certain people being able to carry.
I don't want to be critical, but did they just say 2 main tanks is oppressive?
There's just 1 less player on the other team that you need to take care of, and each player now has the opportunity to have a larger individual impact on their own team. And we've 3.
Like I said, I was pretty sure they weren't going to do 5v5.
I was pretty sure too.
Even early on,
I was like confident. Like, no, I don't think they're going to do that.
7v7
but they did it.
Format of the game.
They did it.
And we always had some problems with them, and
that's just a lack of understanding. Double main tank has never been good.
Goodman has really run with, and I think he probably has a little more he can say about it.
I think we need to see how the hero design is too.
100%. Like I'm open-minded, but this is not the start.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect it. I honestly didn't, because I know it looked like 5v5 at BlizzCon, and I was kind of like, oh, but
never to be spoken about again. Yeah, Jeff. I assume that obviously
of the maps we've always placed what we consider cover.
I want to see much more first person.
I want to see how like the op tanks play though.
I was gonna say I want to see more first person in this. Like I want to see like this. I don't want to see like as much top down.
Now with 5v5,
like I understand, like obviously Ryan's gonna be played and Winston. I want to see how like how's Diva gonna be now? How is Zarya gonna be?
We have started.
What have they done to like Sigma? Like, I want to see that type of switch too, because I think that'd be important.
If you look at Kings in general,
I'm gonna like.
Section,
I mean, the Winston and the Ryan are literally useless. I'm watching how them play. Like it's not like I'm against them, but like they're play. Like you can't do anything with this. They're not even being used. Like if you actually just took them off the field right now, the game would be playing the exact same. That's my problem right now.
Stuff like that.
The game has not changed. Like, sorry, the game has changed. The tanks that are on the field right now are not even being used. Like, you could legitimately just remove the Winston and the Reinhardt. It would be the same exact game right now.
You can take. Something we saw at BlizzCon Line was the 2 Fire Strike charge.
I think that's why they're going to have the Overwatch League players play it later, probably.
Jeff, when we were
that's what I'm assuming is going to happen.
My Winston on live, not able to shoot at range. Can you explain that to us a little bit?
So yeah, I was wondering if people picked up on that. So we were first watching Winston there. This is an example of some of the tank changes we're talking about in regards to 5v5, but also a larger change we're talking about making tanks a lot more aggressive, be able to be a little more heavy on the damage side and less just raw protection. So on Winston's
they can't even go in.
He's ulting right now, unfortunately. You can't see it.
They just said like make tanks more aggressive, but the Winston jumped in one time and only got 500 HP on his primal.
Charge up like
they can't. You can't play more aggressive. It's the same thing.
Fire it off as a single sort of like blast attack at longer range.
Like, watch his health pool. His health pool's just getting chunked.
The charge up is kind of interesting with it for him because you could do it while you're leaping, and so there's like
block.
Theoretically more burst combos you can do where you're jumping on top of somebody, charging up in the air, and burst, release it right before you land on them, and then you get the stomp damage too, and you're like, well, I'm going to get blasted probably if I just like run away, so I have to be able to survive that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the decisions all Winston players face. It's like, okay, I've jumped on this player, I've gotten them weak. I can either now get out of my bubble and try to finish them off, or just kind of hope a teammate does. But now giving him, I think it kind of goes back to more like that player, agency that you were talking about, being able to kind of take over the game, being able to finish it off. The nano boosted Ryan. This will never.
That was the most useful a tank has been so far.
just seeing Reinhardt nano boosted, just swinging. I'm sure it makes the fans out there happy that I know that was a dragon blade.
Not really, because that's normal.
He was able to take out his. It's kind of the bane of existence of a lot of people.
Less than they had before. But then in response to that, you can see Reinhardt here. He hit the wall right there. He didn't cancel it, but you can cancel your charge, and you can get two.
Who cares if you could have canceled? He still would have died.
So the canceling charge is one of those like sneaky things that seems like to some people might be kind of a minor change, but it almost like completely changes how he plays a lot of ways. It's actually really fun because you can, it has a really fast recovery when you cancel. So you can like charge up to a group and then cancel and immediately ult and just like knock everyone down. So the fact that you can even do that is its own now like sort of mini game that
knock who down? You're never gonna make it.
If people know you have your ult or think you have your ult,
wait, how are you gonna put up to them and shatter when you don't have a bubble?
Like they don't want to fight you necessarily like normally because they don't want to get earth shattered. So sometimes you can like bluff people and are running for cover and you didn't even have it or you save it or something. So and it also just allows him to get in there and be more aggressive without sacrificing his health bar.
Yeah, it just sounds like another change, almost like how you kind of mentioned like stuff like that.
You gotta remember though, we don't even know what the new heroes are either.
As you're playing and testing,
so there could be some tanks that have like some really cool like
yeah, where the Winston combo you can load up that secondary fire.
Even with a cool play style, like that would just mean that other heroes just become outdated and unused, kind of like back in Double Shield,
like Reinhardt play, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. So with the Zarya bubble,
something else I think that's really interesting here is this fight's been going on for a while. Neither tank has fallen. And the support have been doing such a good job at keeping the tanks up because there's only one of them.
But to be realistic though, like I hate to say it, both of the tanks aren't doing anything. They're both AFK.
Really good being the tank player now. Like the amount of times you get into this situation where it feels hopeless. You're low on health. There's a bunch of the enemy players focusing on you, and you're
I don't want to be rude. Like I don't care what their SRs are. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be some elitist piece of shit. But they're not doing anything. Neither of them are doing anything.
Yeah, it's I think that has to be something that you guys have kind of gotten in feedback, that from a support point of view, you're able to dump resources into.
This is literally the meta that it looks like. The Rhine doesn't even really exist. They can do whatever they want. They got Hanzo, Widow, Zen, Bap, and Rhine just there.
You know, Zen, you can kind of orb the tank and then focus on the damage. That probably has to be weight.
So that's going to be interesting strat too. So I'm not even sure like what their
like I really don't like. I'm not analyzing their gameplay in any way whatsoever. But
yeah,
but the fact that you're like people are commenting like, see, look, they're doing great. But like, does this look? You know,
actually looks really cool.
They're just AFK.
This is something obviously that's incredibly new. I think on live, like it's kind of displayed on the right.
Yeah,
we're generally looking through this.
Go ahead. Sorry, Jeff.
I was saying we're generally looking at anywhere we can improve hero-specific UI stuff like this, and we felt like this could use a big update and be a lot more readable.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm most excited about.
The Winston was exploding on the jump.
Is it's not just on Zen,
I mean, he did. He fed.
Also,
to be fair,
you see the portrait of
how do you not feed right now?
That you're healing. And so it's just a lot easier to kind of.
This week we started bringing up a thread again. Like, do we want to keep this? Actually, this has been around for a while. Is everyone still happy with this? So that's just an example of like the
controversial.
Core.
Like among the design team, there's a lot of back and forth on this one. So, but I think what whether or not we keep a change like that in the game, I think what it speaks
is that up for discussion that it's not because
the amount of systems
that needs to go.
This
is the stupidest shit. I'm just gonna say whatever's on everyone's fucking mind.
Yeah,
Overwatch is not the game that we just watched. That we just watched
untouched, right?
Let's take out the point that they look like they were silvers.
Every rock,
that was the most dog shit Overwatch I've ever watched.
I want to bring somebody in.
I don't care if they're bronze, silver, gold, diamond, or GM. That was dog shit.
What do you think? First looks. What'd you think, man?
I'll be honest, I was a little bit skeptical when I first heard about 5v5.
Don't fucking pander, please.
Rip to the off tanks kind of thing, but I don't know. Based off watching that first map there on New York, I don't know. It looks quite spicy. This does. Could be quite good.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. Like,
come on, don't pander.
I will wait in the DPS queue. As long as I gotta wait. But now like seeing the tanks and seeing how aggressive you can play and push the pace. I'm excited to be able to kind of now dive.
Not
into
going
the tank
to.
Role. And
I genuinely kind of want to turn it off. Like I'm not gonna, like there's like a little inkling.
Yeah, I mean, well, super buff tanks.
BlizzCon in 2018, it seems like forever ago, is a push. How has the game mode changed since we last saw it?
We haven't made a lot of changes to the mode itself, at least as far as like the big rules go for it. But we've continued developing for it, so we have more than one.
I don't care about them talking about. They haven't. They just said they haven't changed anything. So fuck off.
That we'll even be looking at today.
But to be realistic for a second,
we're really committed to the
tanks.
Mode.
People don't like people when tanks are OP. Nobody has fun, right? Except the tank players. And even then, they're not having that much fun.
The interesting thing
is if you're not dominating the other tank, then you're getting flamed.
From the outside, it sort of looks like it's.
There are so many levels of this is wrong. It's not even funny. From toxicity levels to the entire core of the gameplay has been changed
in the map that makes this very special.
The way that the heroes are supposed to be played
more as
that literally that last third point fight was literally the most boring shit I've ever watched.
More than
it was boring. They literally stood AFK. Chat. Somebody remind me at the end of the stream. Please remind me, and I'll go back to rewatch that fight because nothing happened.
In here that I think can get played.
Literally,
push.
nothing
and a lot of that has to do
happened.
With just the
both tanks stood AFK.
Of that robot in the map, and also because of how quickly it moves.
Yeah, now if you've never seen push before, there's a robot
in
the middle. Both teams will come out and kind of fight for it, and then once you get control, you can.
I mean, I will say though the. Teams were horrendously.
I think if the reaction is not strong enough from the community, they're going to keep it.
XQC,
it could change.
And me.
They do listen to us sometimes.
People. It was a massacre. That's cruel. I'll be honest, I was just AFK. It didn't really matter.
Virtually the same.
Yeah.
When we had the map at BlizzCon, it was
Jacoby, thanks for the tier 1, my dude. I appreciate it. Goldbond, thanks for 100 bits.
Now, but
Gundam, thanks for the prime. And Reagan's Railroad, thanks for the 215 months.
Resources
I'm gonna fucking put alerts back on. Fuck it. You guys want to fucking comment on this shit?
I know. I see Stylos' face
alerts are back on.
Through and he's just like smiling.
I'm already
just, like, so giddy. Like
alerts are on again.
It's so fun. Where I feel like push is gonna add a different type of element.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm watching this. Yeah, I'm here. I'm fixated on the gameplay. I think, I mean, this looks really deathmatchy. This does. Like, we're just, they're just going in, they're having a good old brawl, and then obviously the.
No, don't say deathmatch and brawl. It's deathmatch, not brawl. It's deathmatch.
Changing up every single time, and it's just. To be honest, it looks fairly similar to what I played back at BlizzCon all those years ago. Just with one less tank. It's still
this is not easier to follow. There's literally way more chaotic.
Like I'm somebody who's
so insane. So we ended up condensing all of the
I'm not unmuting myself to talk to Emon either, because I don't want to, like, if his stream is being more positive, but I don't want to infect him. But I'm sorry, guys, I can't be positive about this. I literally can't. Like, I genuinely even said when I first heard, I want to see what it looks like and try. I genuinely want to fucking try, but it's just awful.
It was kind of nonsense.
Like, how are you looking at this and saying this is easier to follow and looks fun?
You see somebody with green.
It's literally 4v4 deathmatch. Throw in a tank. That's it. You know the fucking arcade mode? That's 4v4 deathmatch. It's literally just that without the tanks.
Back and forth, but I noticed before there was like a circle. So is there like kind of capture points, like progress? Does that
spawn room for the team that was able to do it? You can kind of see it just off to the left here behind Reinhardt. So if the attacking team can push it over there, they'll unlock
watch
that
any of these
point,
tanks,
and it gives them a
and
big
I really am not flaming like the players, okay? Like I'm not trying to be an asshole to like the players playing the game, but neither tank has made a single impactful play the entire game, not one. I don't even think if any of them have gotten a kill.
Yeah, but there is. Yep, there is an additional detail there. It's
real talk. Has either tank gotten a fucking kill yet?
Before you lose your forward spawn room. And we actually started it the way that you described it, but a lot of times the robot could just move back and forth across this one checkpoint. And it got like,
I've already been playing one for a fucking year, so now I'm gonna make it two.
Spawn, so we kind of gave you a grace period in there, or made it a little bit stickier. But it was way too blatant.
This double bubble Zarya is sick.
She is incredible. I love her.
She's not incredible though, because if you just run fucking Widow, Hanzo, she literally is useless. We watched her on the last fucking map. She literally didn't exist.
Like more so.
Yeah. So you have the same bubbles you had before, but they're both using shared charges. So yeah, we found
that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like actually,
use it. She tends to be at higher charge more often. I mean, this is a good example, I guess. But
time of the blue team. So the win condition for push is whoever has pushed it the furthest by the end of time.
Overwatch 1 isn't in a great state. We haven't got content for fucking
or if you're able
legitimately
to push
years. But apparently it's in a good state because it has 2 fucking tanks in it.
So now they're unlocking their forward spawn room right here.
The tragedy strikes. Yeah, I imagine these games go right down to the wire.
I mean, it's definitely hectic there towards the end. This is going to be quite good for Overwatch League, I'd imagine. This is. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed watching that.
Yeah, you say it's good for Overwatch League. I'm gonna be honest with you, Stylus, for 2 fucking seconds.
Yeah, when you think
here's
about,
the thing.
like,
do you know how many fucking Overwatch League players just lost their job because this one change?
Big, like,
do you know how many fucking tank players literally are going to lose their job because this one change?
You see it there. I
think about that for 2 seconds. Yeah, real fucking good for Overwatch League, dude. Real fucking good. The game looks trash. These fucking changes look trash. Not only for competitive ranked players, quick play ranked players might like it, and probably just put out a fucking job at least 20 fucking tank players in the Overwatch League. Good job, dude.
That's really nice.
Yeah, really.
It's got that Overwatch music where it kind of adds to the suspense of it all.
The mechanics and the map design is all kind of tailored to have that, and it makes it like really exciting.
Thanks, Contra. Dude, don't even worry about me anymore. We'll figure it out. We'll be fine.
Fast flow.
We're content creators. We can make Overwatch content in different ways. We can make other content for other games. We'll be okay. But these are people that have put years of their lives in to grind to become professional players.
Like we saw Zarya there on push. Like it's
they're trying to save a few bucks. So have the league format changed. Have the game format changed.
She looked unkillable all the time.
Cringe.
She looked crazy.
She's really scary in this form for sure, and I think that's kind of what we're thinking for a lot of these, sort of off-tanky kind of characters before, Roadhog and.
We need it. People need to be loud about this, because they even said they're open to talking.
It's worth noting that we're not
okay.
like
They're people. They're not assholes.
Making them super aggro.
They're not assholes.
Pushing some of the more aggro tanks and making them a little tankier. So I mean, a lot of
we all just want the best.
People notice, but
this is nonsense.
More sort of matrix juice in the can, so she can use it a lot more. So that's an example of where we didn't just like give them.
Come on, Super. I have so much faith in Super here. Come on, please, dude. Tank players mauling? No, everyone who plays this game should be mauling. To be honest with you. Because your ass standing on fucking point now. Your tank is useless. You don't get to cap positioning. You don't get to take gunfights. You're playing TDM now. Congrats, dude. Good luck.
Over the next few maps, but we want to drill down on a couple of the things we've already talked about so far. And to help me do that now, we'll be joining our Overwatch League superstar Matthew Super Delici, of course, is everybody's favorite neighborhood main tank. How you doing, Super? Obviously, big news today. I'd love to get some of your initial thoughts on it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all. I mean, the tank changes, that's definitely the one that, kind of stuck out to me. The fact that, only one tank, because I'm a tank player, and, my experience with tank, it goes up, it goes down. Sometimes you get bullied as a tank with two. So I'm curious to see how that's going to progress and change to make it so that it's a lot easier for one tank to be, work properly and not have as many struggles.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think you watch in any sort of tank player's stream right now. You can sort of see
his mic's not doing too hot.
And also some of the down tier. Obviously, we saw, maybe some more power being shifted in the direction of the tanks, right? We saw Reinhardt with the double fire strikes. He's got some more of that charge control, and the Winston changes. What was your thoughts when you first saw the fact that Winston now has a bit of longer range equipment to bring to the fight?
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit interesting. I also like that they grabbed the Zarya from the experimental. I mean, at least when I played the experimental, I thought that the cooldown needed to be shorter on that. But I like that in general, they're trying to give more power if it's going to be just one tank. Because I feel like otherwise, a lot of tanks like, Zarya and Diva, they would kind of struggle because the way they're designed right now, I feel like they weren't really, made to be played solo, if that makes sense. But now I feel like if they do the proper changes, then I think it could actually be pretty good.
Okay, that's cool, actually.
Absolutely. You saw there as well a couple of the changes. We mentioned Winston's. Maze, we haven't really talked.
May was the first one we sort of checked into the build and we wanted to play with for a long time. So if you notice here, she doesn't actually fully freeze the enemy here at all. She still slows them, but she doesn't never go to a stun all the way.
Thank God.
The compensation, of course, does a lot more damage. So it's...
I love how they hit us with this fucking boom, and then they're like trying to show like little things like, oh, we took away this thing. You guys hated that thing, right?
But you never actually get in that lockdown state and be like, okay, well, here's the free headshot. I guess I'm dead. And for her, it's really interesting too because she still has, at least right now, she still has that sort of cleave effect, the piercing that can hit multiple targets. So and you're doing so much damage now.
Oh, so we don't take that out of the live game because you wanted to use that as an excuse to put it in Overwatch 2 because then now it's like, hey,
piercing through tank or.
Yeah, you might not like this stuff, but look what we did. We did the thing you asked for.
So it's kind of an interesting, still has an interesting back and forth secondary fire as well. But as I mentioned, it's kind of the tip of the iceberg because what we're really playing around with, and this...
I'm pretty heavily into like what it means to be a tank player, and I think talking about
still absolutely not. It won't happen. It literally won't happen. Because what he said,
we have. I mean, I can see it here in a little preview.
What he said,
our next map is
what Jeff said,
and it really captures, I think,
was that if they tuned all that stuff back, then they'd have to look at heroes like Doomfist, Tracer, Ball, and they are countered by CC. So he's saying that they don't want to really change those heroes, and the only reason they would even have to change those heroes is because they won't have to give rid of all the CC.
Spent a part of their life there. So it's pretty fun.
So it's not going to happen.
Kind of
they'll tone it down if anything.
This Overwatch version of.
But then they have to tone those heroes down too. That's what they're saying is there's trade-offs.
Vibrant club. You get to visit where Lucio's club is.
If anything has taught us about Overwatch is when there's major trade-offs, they don't want to touch it.
Brazilian barbecue place. It's another map. We're just having a lot of fun creating different details and this aspirational version of this location. For
you gotta understand, like you can't just go flame them on stream. Like that doesn't work. Not that he probably would anyways, but
pretty fun carnival float.
That was the most fair thing that could have been said.
So we're just having fun with these maps.
I think.
Being the cool Brazilian barbecue.
I still think though it's not going to work. Because what they're saying is they could tone other stuff down, but then if they tone the other stuff down, the other heroes have to be toned as well. And there's so many things they'd have to tune in a row that would take literally years to rebalance.
Credited for is there. Can you obviously I don't want you to give away too much.
Where we're going with that, but we're not talking too heavily.
Why drop a tank and throw the game into entire balance on its head?
It's kind of a community.
Hi,
place,
we're on the same page.
If it was real, people can come there for free. He's a community.
Right, so this.
So I do have a question for Jeff. Sorry to cut you off, Mitch, but I do have a question if that's fine. So if I'm pretty sure like way back in the day, there was like an interview that I read that was like 5 was too small and 7 was too big for the roster limit, and then 6 was perfect. But like I'm kind of curious like where along like the Overwatch timeline did that philosophy kind of change?
You know who
like,
said that, chat?
Was it like
Jeff?
People learning
I
how
know
to
that
play the
article
game
he's
better?
talking about.
Like
Jeff said that.
All of this, yeah. I mean.
Can we get a mod check?
I mean, we know so
Can
much
we get a
about
mod
the
check
gaming,
for Jeff?
Aaron touched on at the
Can we get a
beginning,
mod check, Jeff?
Before
Hello?
everything, and you could just play 5 Winston's. In fact, we had an internal tournament where that was the strategy. 5 Winston's hands, and it marinates for a while, and you're making changes. Like, your opinion on this stuff definitely changes. So, I think over time...
they cut away because they just watched the Winston explode.
Still keeping an open mind.
So they cut away from it? Are you kidding me?
Doing some of these kind of changes, and then coming Overwatch 2, you were just like, who knows?
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. If one tank feeds, right, there's still a really good chance you win that fight. Because if they were low and you get another, you trade a tank right after, you can still win the fight. What this is showing is if that tank dies, they immediately lose.
I mean, I'm no stranger to peacocking. Look at what I'm wearing. But this is great. Obviously,
you want to talk about like and toxicity and stuff isn't something I really talk about too much. Like, oh, that'll cause toxicity. That's not something that's big on like something I've talked about too much. But to be honest with you, people are going to be micromanaged to all hell. It's going to be insane.
Second phase, all of a sudden, it's less about chokes and overpasses, and it's just
improve the options the players have to solve situations.
Are there going to be previous maps in Overwatch 1 that will be reworked, or?
We don't know.
Can you not say? Is that secret?
No.
Or?
I don't know.
Okay, fair
no,
enough.
the answer to that is no. They hadn't even thought of that.
Look, you've got one less hero on the battlefield. Your maps are.
He just talked about how they thought about a design philosophy. They'll change all the heroes CC and how they'll change. They change his hero CC, then they have to balance other heroes. That is not a hidden secret. They've never thought of that.
Where, like, you know, if you go too far one direction, right, it can seem quite barren. But here,
visually as well as gameplay wise.
This really has like a Dorado feel, almost, right? We have sort of payloads sort of moving through underneath.
The thing I'm realizing more than anything
levels here. It's not just
is even though these players aren't like that good, obviously, like you could tell, like, you know, they're not very high level, obviously. The DPS players and the support players are actually making impactful plays here and there sometimes. The tank players have made no impact.
Like,
zero. Nada. So if you're talking about in perspective
really
scale,
if you can hold it, it's fantastic, but it's just really hard to
if
hold.
They also aren't making any plays, but the DPS can, and they're all around the same rank, and the support can.
It ends up being like
that tells me either tank is now extremely difficult to play.
You don't have tanks that can just sit on
B, or it's just completely unimpactful.
It's so powerful. You can see where Widow is right there.
Or
it's
C,
so powerful. You have this line of sight on everything up there.
There's something that I'm not seeing yet.
Is universal ult charge nerfed, or is it just as a result of the
huge barrier Reinhardt? But certainly, yeah, should have healed there first probably, but you know, he went for it. Yeah, so like, there's a lot of changes we can make now.
Oh, what, the Hog made a micro mistake that all of his teammates who are also the same level have all been making even worse mistakes? Oh wait, it's noticeable because it's a solo tank.
Back in the day. Maybe we can bring that back, especially in a world in the hero themselves now. Because if you get to go in and be threatening, like with all this extra damage, and just be hard to kill, you're just bringing space by existing.
What an animal.
Obviously,
wow, that was really exciting.
I'm curious if
both the tanks did a lot there to each other.
Tank, right, and you know, you'll play, you know, main tank more about game design. So that's what I kind of wondered. Like, outside of just doing
that's totally what I was getting at.
Sort of balance a tank to make them feel powerful without just pumping numbers into their primary fight.
Yeah, I think that's probably a design philosophy that I'm maybe not qualified to talk about.
But that's convenient because I wasn't actually asking you, but you can weigh in on it first.
Okay, yeah, I'll just stop speaking. That's good. No, that's good. I'll stop speaking.
I'm curious where you're getting this, but yeah, I mean, a lot of it's like.
So it feels like almost responsibility as a tank player is almost ticked up a notch there, because you got to be a jack of all trades in some cases.
especially if crowd control gets reduced to a point where you're looking for to counter something specific, like you're looking for.
Yeah, but now why is the stream talked about if we did this, if we made it all CC better? Like, did they just get the idea during the stream and now they're like, oh shit, that's pretty good.
Game changer.
Good talk about that. Like, we should do that.
Like, make sure it's up and you save it and try to keep an eye on him. And conversely, if you're a character who
it's fucking wild
for, you know, like Reaper or something like that. Once
this is maybe covered up this kind of one as well, but it really feels like the environment we were inside. They're trying to break you up, Frown. I'm actually pretty sad about.
Listen, nothing about. Okay, can I just be clear very quickly? All the anger and all the things I'm talking about has nothing to do with me playing tank and Emon playing tank. It has nothing to do with that. Like, it literally has nothing. This is literally genuinely bad changes for the whole game. That's it. Period.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Hide in terror.
That's a big part of it as well. Like, it's not just when you fire, but you're getting
dude,
hit
let's
by
super talk
these
once.
weapons
Holy
and
shit, dude.
Seems like it. Yeah, it has more of an impact. It's not like when you're fighting for your life with 9 other people. Superman. I mean, naturally, these are changes that some of them you thought about before. Obviously, having played so much tank, and maybe you wish for some of these, and I'd love to get some of your
took super hostage
on sort of how tank is going to feel and. Heading into Overwatch 2, as I'm sure you'll be strapped in and playing.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I have to get a chance to play it first, but based on what I've seen, it looks like tank's gonna have a lot more pressure. I feel like, or a lot more of a role to play because you don't really have that second tank to help you out and kind of help clean up your mistakes, if you will. Like, if you get hooked, you get a bubble or matrix or whatever it may be. So I feel like in general it looks like tanks are going to play a lot smarter, but you do get the plus side of having both supports only focus on you as opposed to having two. So I think it'll be interesting.
Well, we're interested to hear some of your thoughts, of course, as the live stream goes, and as we get first on what we have so far.
Oh man, I really like seeing all the new hero looks and the map visuals, and the UI updates have been really cool, especially as a support player. I'm seeing a lot of little UI updates for support heroes, and I'm really excited about them. So yeah.
Absolutely, you and me both. Obviously, I'm a support mate as well, so I'm looking forward to teasing a little bit more out of our devs.
Turn down an update. We mean turn down another update.
A little bit more about Overwatch 2,
I didn't get contacts about anything.
Yes, we will be showing another map in just a moment. So let's take the opportunity to sort of bring these devs back in. Of course, obviously, Jeff and Dion have given us some
chat. Control yourselves
so far, because something that was teased.
Just because we're angry about what's going on, do not be angry
a little bit of was actually.
I'll start one tapping.
Right?
Do not do it.
Is it's a game that's set a little bit further, sort of in a sense as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love that you kind of this is cheeky. You're kind of teasing little bits of the story or how the world changes out as we go. So that's just.
Okay, honestly, I don't give a fuck about this kind of shit. And if you do, I'm really sorry. So if you want to go to another stream, come back. It's fine. But can I talk for 2 seconds? Yeah, talk for 2 seconds.
Tell us about what the development process on these changes is like.
I'm gonna be honest.
I think it was sort of mentioned that there's sort of new tech available to developers to sort of bring these characters to life, but I'd love to know how you go.
It feels like it's being kind of. I mean, obviously it's a live stream, it's a show, but it feels like it was kind of being strung along when Super was on.
Really cool
and I'm not gonna speak for him or anything like that. I felt like that really got strung along, and he had some really good fucking points. Like he was talking about hey, if you were gonna do this, we do realize there's other changes on the back end that needs to be made. You know what I mean? Like hey, is that something you'd want to would CC be toned down? Would they be buffed, etc.? Those are legitimately real questions. And it's really fucking concerning that it kind of sounded like they came up with one of the ideas on the fly and started talking about it.
Characters have the cool tech gear and
it didn't even sound like there was something they had talked about. It was like, oh yeah, but if we did that, because he literally said it's hot off the presses. His exact words, Jeff's exact words were, it's hot right. This is right hot off the presses. But we toned down CC, we got rid of McCree flashbang, Brig whip shot, etc. Right?
I'm curious about
the
new upgrades to the skins and
it sounded like they came up with it in the moment and said, oh yeah, we could totally do that,
from all the
right?
Heroes from Overwatch
and then they talked about it more as they went on. They were almost brainstorming as it was going. That's fucking scary. Were we just gonna go in with the same fucking shit already? And it's kind of at that point,
for example, the skin shape.
If you haven't thought that far ahead,
skins as well.
Have we not thought far enough ahead for
working hard to
that?
The workflow that's easier for the artists, but it's still there's a level of work there, but everything you
achievements or something like Retro, that, so we have more ways to customize the way our heroes
Get the fuck together. My stream is never about that shit.
You have to wait and see.
You're angry about what's going on? Be angry about what's going on. Don't say shit about the people that are on here, okay? It's your last warning.
Oh no. What about like mixing and matching?
The goggles that he has. And I mean,
I thought this was a PvP stream.
Attitude from him very clearly displayed, though. I think that's very much still been.
I thought we were doing PvP.
And we want to upgrade the characters, but we don't want to lose that silhouette that's familiar to players. He still looks like Torbjorn from a distance.
Is it PvP only over?
Better and more detailed up close, but he maintains that silhouette we come to know and love and like to shoot at. So that's some of the
extra props to the VFX team for doing.
It is PvP. It's devs versus community. No shit.
Modernization of not just obviously how his skins.
I'm curious to see how this battle plays out once the players get to the.
So are we not going to see any of the Owl okay, so we brought in the Overwatch League, and we're not going to see any Overwatch League players, like any good fucking players play the game. We're not going to see one set of good players. Really? Like nothing against these guys. I've said it a million times. It's not against their skill. I just want to see what good players playing this game would actually end up looking like, because I think you'd see Widow v Widow. Boom.
The subtlety
kills the other Widow. Boom, 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 and kills the other three.
So amazing, and you
can we see good players?
Blocked off, and certain of them are open as far as in between the pillars, and that was.
Can we see good players?
Quite a bit. I remember.
I'm sorry, no offense to these guys. I really don't mean to be mean to them. I'm really not. It's just
fly over them. So
it's just the truth of what we should be doing right now.
If you're like a Pharah or Genji and you want to get cheeky.
The icons of having pros would show the max it's on, I like the. I wish to see more with Ana.
You know what it also would do? It would show us that if there was truth to what's being said, of like, hey, this actually has a lot of good promise, etc. And seeing them actually play it,
I feel like I have to tell.
If they played it and it looked good, holy shit, that would be great. They'd be like, oh, like that gives like some faith of like, okay, maybe there's something to be said here. But it very much feels right now like this is being scripted, not like to level like obviously it's scripted, like, you know what I mean, like, oh hey, like we're gonna do this section, etc. But it feels very much like, oh yes, everything is perfect, nothing is actually wrong at all, there is no questions, don't be afraid, everything is great. Like it's like you're talking radical major changes and not really like being,
healing or damage boosting you, right? Obviously your screen sort of on live
97% of this player base is this bad or worse. Yeah, but what does that have to do with it? You don't balance competitive games from the bottom up. You balance from the top down.
Is that also the case with like Nano Boost, for example? I'm sure your inbox is sort of
regardless of what they do. If they take one person,
I sort of wonder what the look. It was mentioned at BlizzCon Online as well that sort of the assault game mode sort of. There wouldn't be sort of further maps developed for, right? The focus would not.
And I'm open to it. I'm open. I'm open-minded. But I want to see good players try it. Because, like Fab said, you say most of the player base is like this bad or worse. Which, by the way, I think this is like gold players, so I don't think that's totally true. But
probably
you have to also understand, though, neither tank player on either team has almost made a single. In all these games, the best guy we saw was the Hog last game. He got like 3 hooks. That was the best we'd ever seen. Nobody has made any plays. The DPS are getting kills. The supports are doing their jobs. Tanks have literally not made a single ounce of impact in any of these games. Not one little bit. So tell me how it's more fun. Tell me how it's better, because they're not going to do anything. They're going to AFK.
What do you want to do? And it was like the hardest problem ever. Go ahead and solve it. You guys, we've got went through a lot of changes, and it got to the point where we were like
imagine queuing up a game and picking Diva. Your fucking team would go bananas.
At that point,
think about that one for 2 seconds.
Why don't we just make?
You want to talk about the other huge percentage of the player base? That other percentage of the player base doesn't see a Reinhardt in front of them. They're gonna scream. Guess what? You only get Reinhardt now. You only get a Hog. You only get whatever the meta tank is. there literally is no other tank to run.
I would say that
there is literally only whatever the meta tank is now.
But they're
you want to talk meta? When people find out what the meta tank is, you got 5 people yelling at one guy to tell him to play fucking a certain hero. At least right now, if you're like, let's play meta, and your other tank picks Hog, the other guy goes, well, not much I can do about it. He's playing Hog. I gotta play something else. And you have 2 people, and the game has to be like either both have to switch, or that it kind of like turns into like this little like push pull. But now your games are even gonna be more hijacked. Imagine how helpless you feel now. Amplify that by 10 when they have a full meta comp with a Rhine or with a Zarya or whatever.
That spot in the map. Oh, sorry, Diana.
And guess what you have? You got a diva, and he ain't swapping.
I was just gonna comment because we were there, although they just.
Lord Daddy, thank you. This is by the way, 4 months. Appreciate it.
I mentioned 2 things. Is that
get ready for that one.
It's like this, like corkscrew. It's interesting and very impactful. And so
if you can't tell in your brand new game whether something's fun or not, that probably means it's not fun.
Big impact is almost more important if you can get the good stuff of it. So after a lot of iteration, it's
if you just made something that's brand new and supposed to attract people to it, and you can't figure out if it's fun, that's probably a bad sign, is it not?
Flank from on top to drop down below because you have to go under this path.
It seems like a game mode that's catered to like giving these like adrenaline sort of pumping moments of overtime, right?
About this is the fact that even if we use the Overwatch,
it seems like there's a lot of overtime moments.
Minds about this.
What I love though is that these buildings don't seem decoration. Like even
no, that's if it isn't changed before it goes live, it will never change. That is promise. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
Design process as well, because you have to think of everything. Those shot callers out there are going to have to be thinking a mile a minute just how they can take advantage of the sort of topography of the map as it sort of changes.
But either way, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you gigabuff tanks, the tanks become even more oppressive, and games are decided by that tank diff. But if you don't buff them, they are useless. They just sit there AFK.
But the map sort of changes the feel.
It doesn't fix the problem.
It does.
It doesn't fix it at all.
Feels a lot different.
Like if the problem that they had was with tanks being too strong in the game.
I'm curious how it's gonna work on
their problem there doesn't get fixed by removing one because you either make it then useless.
500. I'm not GM. Like I'm plat. You know, a lot of my Overwatch experience as a support. Like I solo queue support. You know, like the struggle is real. And so my experience is like, you know, I have my tanks that just like Leroy Jenkins in and I'm like, okay, here we go. And I'm just trying to like keep up, you know? So I'm curious, you know, how that's going to go on like, as like plat games, you know?
Yeah, but now
I'm gonna find out because I sure as
they pick ball, they roll into their team, and they die.
That's what I'm gonna be.
Or you're even better. They pick hog, walk into their team, and die.
So y'all know how I feel. Okay.
You know, like she does provide like a casual in look, which is great. Which is why it's really good they have her on. You know. I mean,
we started from that.
You have to understand that casuals are a big part of the game. You know, and you shouldn't be saying anything about her because of her rank. She's openly talking about being plat.
I mean, speaking of incredible locations, we actually still have one more map to show everybody.
But like,
so ladies and gentlemen, stick around.
It's not. It's gonna have the same problems in plat. Like it has nothing to do with.
You haven't heard anything about.
You know, each rank will have the same problem.
For more of this Overwatch 2 PvP.
My chat. I try to always set a good example for you guys, okay? And I do try to do the best I can. I am fucking angry right now. I am mad. You haven't fucking told. You haven't figured it out yet. I don't typically get mad like this, you know? Because I know this is not good. Not only for the game, for my own, you know, enjoyment, my own job security, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? But I will not attack any of these people personally. And if you do, you're a piece of shit. So shut the fuck up. You can talk about the game being bad. You can talk about the fucking decisions being bad. And then you end it at that.
But is that something that you guys are looking at with map design of just like how you guys can change like verticality, levels of terrain?
I'm going bathroom, dude. That's nothing I fucking care about right there.
Certain heroes or certain roles to really kind of take advantage of that.
We're definitely doing that.
It was flat before, and then you reach the first objective, and now you're on the hill, and they'll move into the hotel for the final objective.
Am I okay?
So there's this visual progression to kind of your completing objectives. you feel like you're making progress through the map because the world around you is somewhat
I'm really not somebody who like stamps my feet, gets really mad, and talks about like dog shit devs like don't know what they're doing because they work real fucking hard.
Start through that choke area, goes towards that high ground, and then
but
you have
this
that, like, interior
is bad.
The interior for this map.
This is
one of the cooler
and I have talked very highly the past couple weeks about not only Overwatch 2 and everything.
We'll get to see it, but just the
I said that your Overwatch talking about being 5v5 is literally just like just a take to get us through to Overwatch 2. Like that, they would never do that. They're not that stupid. We're watching silver players play Widow and fucking dominate because they literally can't do anything about it. This is like a silver or gold game ish. Average
Overwatch map design,
and the Widows are unbeatable. The Widows are dominating what these games, these fights do.
The presence or the importance of high ground really can't be understated in this game, and so we're trying to give more of that to teams, and trying to create kind of
no. It's nothing against Curly Mustache. I just tweeted it. I would love to have seen some of these games at high level to play. Like, why didn't like? And you know what? I know what the reason is. I know the answer. But why didn't they grab either a bunch of GM players or Overwatch League players or a bunch of streamers? Like why wouldn't what if they threw me, Emong, Jay, Sam, Boger, you know what I mean? Like I'm just looking at chat. And to be honest with you, I can't even think right now. I genuinely can't even think. I'm overwhelmed. They grabbed like a bunch of players, have us come in and test it and show people like, hey, this is what it would look like at high level play, and people could be like, holy shit, that's what it looks like. But look at this, it's so slow, it's so boring. Like, it's literally dominated by what sniper hits the first shot.
But that's just from my point of view.
Players are very shallow, and we don't typically.
I mean, Boger, have you seen what happened with some of the tanks? Like, don't get me wrong, they're not the best players. Like, it's okay. Like, it's nothing against them personally, but they haven't done anything. In 4 maps, not a single tank player has made a play other than the Hog on second map got 3 hooks in a row and actually popped off. Other than that, neither tank has done anything for 4 games.
Interesting point.
Not one play. Not one.
Kind of taken kind of a notice of.
Yeah, but don't let the monkey Tesla shot thing distract you from what's actually happening.
Like there's kind of turns to get to that elevation.
No, nothing's happening. Look at this.
Is that just to keep everything
they literally can't do anything. There's nothing to do about it.
Yep, so that's part of it, to keep it smooth.
This is fucking Soldier 76 in 2021, fucking dominating with a fucking Ash.
Really, like,
you know what the Zarya's doing? The Zarya's just AFK on the low ground.
To overcome a really steep staircase. It's almost like a wall in front of you, and you don't know what's going to be at the top of it. And so we always like for players to be able to run through our maps,
Boger, of course,
look at a space and kind of develop a.
You're one of the best Winstons out there, especially on the ladder. You know, like I like to put Overwatch League players in their own category, but like you and I, we know what you know what I mean. Like I just don't like to go near that topic. But like you're one of the best Winston players out there, and you would probably fucking struggle in this. Because you know what happened? You jump up, you turn around so you don't get headshot by Widow. She still shoots you through your fucking legs. The Hanzo's already eaten you, and Ana took a shot on the way by, and you went back to spawn so fast you got to look and talk at chat again. You know what? This is the greatest thing for tank streamers. I can sit here and talk to chat all day long now because there's nothing to do.
Towards the balcony, and yeah, that does.
All I gotta do is find a crazy Widow player to duo with, and I'll just talk to chat the whole game.
Top of the stairs with Horizon, you can't see where he's shooting you from, and you're just kind of getting pelted on the way up. It's not the best of feelings, you know.
To my knowledge, I didn't know. I had no idea about 5v5. Watch the beginning of this stream. Watch the beginning before this happened. I said that will never happen. 5v5 will not happen. That was just a play Overwatch video. Nobody said anything about it. No one said anything. Wasn't gonna happen.
Like you see where that soldier is sitting up top. Like
it's really hard to pick one of those.
God, dude, my personal one fucking Twitter's more enjoyable than this shit right now.
Mine was the Reinhardt stuff. As somebody who's always wanted to play Reinhardt, who's pretty tragic at it, being able to
wait, Ryan has 550 HP in this game mode.
Able to be a little bit more brawly and more offensive.
Are you, dude? Did they put that on the live to see if it was usable? And they're like, oh, that shit's powerful, dude. We should put that when it's solo tank. Give him 550 when he's alone, and he'll still work. And everyone's like, yeah. But take away it on the live server.
At least put it in my mind that it could be a possibility. Yeah.
That's always the promise of Reinhardt in any version of Overwatch that you're playing, is that moment where you get to drop the shield and go in and just start laying waste to people. Feels
But you
so
don't play
good.
Reinhardt like that.
Yes,
Reinhardt is not the hero. You sit there and you shield. Wait. Okay, then go. Like, that's not how it's all ever worked. High level Reinhardt is shield stop, shield stop, shield stop, shield stop, swing, shield stop, swing, shield stop, fire strike, shield stop, corner, recharge, shield stop. Like, it's not.
Here's another one from Twitter.
Now go swing! Like, that's never how it's fucking been played. The fact that I just heard those words come out of their mouth is disgusting.
Like completely separate, like different environments. Like, but how do you guys?
It's literally my Silver Ray cosplay. I've talked about this for months.
We talked a lot about that earlier when we started developing.
Dude, I just want to throw my headset, dude. I want to throw it.
You know, look at here like Winston. Winston is.
But my headset didn't do anything wrong.
But a lot of his enjoyment comes from sort of how.
Oh Jesus Christ! They can't even kill the baby diva because of the pocket. What the fuck?
Too far ahead of your team or your healers and how you're committing and everything.
Nothing against these players, but just like this whole thing is just stupid. Okay, like I'm sorry, like it's just the truth. It's nothing against these guys, like. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to play them on their skill. I'm playing them on the game.
Okay, well, we really need to talk about if we're gonna keep these separate or. But I did a prototype of like a PvP VE mode, I called it, which was like a hybrid mode. Because I think like I get the expectation that people will probably ask about that.
What's going on?
If we want to do that.
Kiddigo's move, thanks to the huge 5 as well.
And it was a little.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
There wasn't a lot of balancing done. It was just like,
my God.
Just throw all the crazy PvE stuff in here and see.
Dude, do you guys know what's going on? Because I don't.
Tragic, but it was pretty interesting, and like there's maybe a version of that. Yeah, exactly. There's maybe a version that we could do that at some point in the future.
Don't have a chance when I'm trying to read Bunker's message.
We weren't really able to do it, but push kind of came out of that.
Oh, I know nobody knows. Trust me, Bunker. Like I can't say anything, but I know nobody had a clue.
Really
I know nobody had a clue.
And hopefully it's something that we'll be able to talk to.
And it's fucking sad, dude.
About later.
I love that. Winning games, or you can just keep losing games constantly and eventually get it just way slower. Thank you guys so much for everything today. Truly a blast. Thank you, Aaron, Jeff, and Dion. That'll be it from us. Follow Play Overwatch on all social medias to stay up with all the latest news for Overwatch 2. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
This is the biggest dog shit it could have been. Everything that I was feared of happening happened today. I had high hopes. I thought that they would know better, but for some reason they thought, oh, hey, let's let a bunch of silvers play the game and show it up to all the people that actually care about the game and pair with the league. They're supposed to be the best players in the world. But we showed it off with silvers. Now the question is, chat, why did they do that? Oh, I know why. Because if every single person in this lobby could aim, it would have turned into Widow v Widow, Hanzo v Hanzo, or Ash Mercy versus Widow Mercy. Ash Mercy versus Widow matchups the entire time. With Zen right clicks going across the map, and both tanks looking as useless as they looked in this game of silvers. That I could not have been any more disappointed with. This is actually unironically the old Vine of my disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. Actually, to a literal fucking T. There is nothing else to be said. I am genuinely fucking disappointed. I hope to God that they are open to talking, and I hope that we can have a conversation about why this is not only a bad idea for the game, but you know, just on balance, competitive, everything. Go ahead, have fun with your PvE. But the fact that you're destroying the PvP as well is just fucking disgusting. The amount of Overwatch League players who just lost their job today is just insane. At least 20 of them just lost their jobs, 110%. Because you're not going to need that many tank players anymore, because you're only going to need one, and you're going to need someone who's a jack of all trades, someone that can play all the tanks, someone that can't just play main tank or off tank. And the best part that's the most out of touch piece of shit bullshit is even for the highest level of a competitive level, players that have been refining their skills for the last 4 or 5 years that are off tank or main tank players have a certain set of skills. Even the most best flex gods in the world, like Aimbot Calvin used to be as considered one of the best flex players on the entire ladder, could play anything, and there's tons of players even now that play every role almost to the highest fucking level. There are probably 5 people in the entire world that can play both main tank and off tank at the highest absolute 4.6 plus tier level, 4.7 level. and it's like Violet, Choi, and maybe like a couple, like there's 5 of them, maybe 5. Because the way you play off tank, the way you play main tank have been such different skill sets for all of these years, and in this game modes and with one tank, what's going to end up happening is as metas shift, you're either going to have only main tanks or only off tanks. You're going to be putting people into such disarray that games are going to be more imbalanced than they ever have been before, because what you're going to do is you're going to have old players and new players that are trying to learn the game, and whether they need to learn Reinhardt, whether they need to play Zarya, whether they need to play D.Va, whatever new tank it is, they're going to have to learn those heroes every single time from the ground up. And what you're going to have is you're going to have inflections of SR within somewhere of 800 to 1,000, where you're going to be 1 week you have some 4,500 Chad Winston player on your team, then it goes to a Roadhog meta and they can't fucking aim on Hog, and all of a sudden they're a fucking 3,500 caliber player and they have to go all the way down the ladder, and they're having that awful time losing game after game after game after game after game after game after game. Or they force their Winston and their team just flames the shit out of them, like, oh, you're forcing this dog shit hero, why are you doing that, you're ruining my games, etc., blah 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 blah. You are literally going to absolutely kill not only the tank player experience but those other players' experience, because the way that the game has always run, as the reason there was 2 tanks, they have no idea what they're talking about. As they said earlier in the live stream, we can go back and find it. They said that double main tank is oppressive. There has been no double main tank other than that weird goats rush that they did in Contenders 2 years ago, where you played Winston, Ryan, Goomba comp and you just full sent into their team. No professional and high level teams have ever really played double main tank, because double main tank has been garbage other than the very like week or two like Orisa Ryan was good or whatever the fuck that was going on. It has never been like that. It never has been like that. It never will be like that. The fact that they think that is actually how it works is fucking scary, and that you're going to change the game on a level that is going to completely change Overwatch for what it is now. It will not resemble it at all when this happens, and you're either going to find a brand new player base, or and your old player base is going to be isolated away, or B, your current player base is going to somehow find a way to work with it, and the new player base and them are going to clash, because those new players are going to be trying to learn everything at once. Those old players are going to be very stuck in their old ways, because they're going to be very good at certain heroes and very not good at certain heroes, and it's going to create a power dynamic between players of both DPS support and tank, where it's going to not only increase toxicity, but it's going to increase or decrease your player experience based on what the meta is, to a level that is amplified 100 times worse than it is now. People hate when the meta gets stuck. They hate when it gets stuck because they don't like the heroes that are in it, whether it was double shield, whether they're not a fan of, if you're a Mercy player, you hate Rush. If you're a Lucio player, you hate Poke. Whatever it is, you're stuck in that meta even worse now, because if you don't play that one hero that you need, it is actually amplified 10 times more, because before you could kind of get away with it until you got really high up. You would still have some friction, you'd have some pushback, but at least people can be like, well, I want to play meta, but that guy's not playing it, so we just have to deal with it. Now you're putting it on one person, and if that one person doesn't do it, you're fucking screwed. And even better yet, that one person is not going to be inclined to, because they will not be rewarded, because of what I just witnessed. The tank players on both sides made no plays for 4 maps. One guy made a play on second point on second map on Hog. He got 3 hooks, and that was the biggest plays of any tank player through the 4 fucking maps. So you're going to be forced as a tank player to play certain roles, to play the meta, and you're not going to be rewarded for it. You're just going to be picking the hero that you're going to have to pick to satisfy the rest of the group, the rest of the team, to make sure you don't get rolled, and then it's going to become a coin flip of who feeds first, who doesn't feed. The skill ceiling has to go through the roof at that point, but it's actually become so high that it's not going to be obtainable, because of how many different heroes you're going to have to learn and how many different play styles you have to learn for each and every single one of them. You're going to make the player experience so dog shit. I didn't think it was possible to make it worse, but you found a way. I should say congrats. Koga, thanks for the 5. Fanyata, thanks for the huge 5. Frostkoi, thanks for the huge tier 1 as well. Welcome to the dog shit chat. You're fucking knee deep. Can't wait to go waist deep.
This is a sad day.
Oh, those were things of the tier 1 for 2 months as well. Pretty sure I did. You want to talk tank diff? You know what tank diff is now? Oh boy. Oh boy. Tank diff now is just who exists longer.
Can we acknowledge the worst part of 5v5 is the lack of good comp names? No more double bubble. No more super monkey ball. No more hog and ball torture.
I mean, you want to talk about the biggest tragedy of it is you lose what Overwatch is.
Thank you. Full rant video up on sometime today.
Oh, I've got a whole schedule planned now. I've got a whole schedule planned. Where's Sam?
I didn't even know what's going on.
I've never had a more perfect emote or alert than for right now. H-Bar, thanks for the huge 5. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate all you guys hanging out here today. If you haven't followed the stream, by the way, make sure you follow the stream before you go. If you're headed out, if you're hanging out for a little bit to see how it keeps going, because I think me and Sam and a lot of other creators might hop into Discord and talk about it. So I also tweeted him. So apparently I should go into the Overwatch stream and tell them their game shit and dead. What a community. Come on, LOL. I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But at the same time, though, my only criticism of him was saying that this is very good for Overwatch League, because it's not. Like, it's good for the money in the pockets of the teams. It's terrible for the players. So. PK Frey, thanks for the huge prime. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Wow. Is it just as opposed to how Sam usually treats the dev team? Sam's normally very, very harsh. And to be honest with you, I typically try not to be as harsh. But I can't not be harsh today. 6 stacks have to kick someone out. All players lose their job. Ladder becomes toxic if they don't play meta. I mean, the list is gonna go even on. But like, from their point of view, they could say, "Oh, well, it was already toxic. That's all you guys complain about that." You know. Barry Force, thanks to the tier 1 as well. Appreciated. Sam rarely likes 5v5. Yeah, well, you know who I've also seen? I saw Craggy tweet out that he liked 5v5 and thought it was gonna be more competitive. Craggy also hates roll lock, because Craggy is a very good flex player. Craggy is one of those players that can play everything very, very well. He's super talented, but not everybody's like that, and it makes the ladder really fucking. If you played roll Q and you played before roll Q, you will know that roll Q was a good thing for the game. Was it good for competitive high level Overwatch League play? You see less comps, maybe not. Do you know it was good for the game though? Yes, you do. It brought a lot of balance to the game. So. What DPS players like going 5v5? Well, I mean, find me one tank player. That's your goal, chat. Find me one tank player who says it's a good idea. Sakar bike? I don't know how to say your name. Sorry. Thanks for the huge prime, dude. I appreciate it. Find me one. Talk with Emong. I don't want to bring Emong stream down. Boger. Oh, Boger likes it. Boger! Boger, do you like it? I don't know if he's still here. Guido likes it. Guido plays ball. That's different. You're basically solo tanking at that point anyways. To be honest with you, if you look at this game and you say, I like it based on personal, like, oh, it's good for me. I hate to say it, because I like a lot of people that are saying, like, oh, it's good. You're kind of being a piece of shit. Because, like, you could say you like it because you like the idea of it competitively, right? If you say, like, oh, like, you know, like, I think that this could be competitively really good, right? If that's what you think, fine. But if you like that idea because it personally benefits you, you're kind of being a piece of shit. It's being selfish. Because at that point, you don't want what's good for the game. You want what's good for you. And as somebody who has advocated when things were, even my own heroes were too strong in the past, and said, nerf them, it's kind of dog shit. Like, for example, when Ryan had 50% steadfast, I was like, no, that's too strong. That needs to get nerfed. Like, it was way too strong. And it got nerfed. I was someone that highly said, yes, Ryan Steadfast is too strong. 100%. I stood by it. But it's funny when, you know.
Flats, you are the better Rhine and the Rhine King.
New maps look great.
Wait, hang on. Shut up, LMAO. Main tank people whining don't want what's good for the game because his role got changed. You understand my role was dead for a year and we dealt with it, right? You do understand that it actually affects off tanks more than it does main tanks. You do understand it will affect every single tank player because the way the meta will work is you have to play one meta tank at a time, and the way the off tank is played and the way the main tank is played is very, very different. You understand they've had different play styles all this time. There's nobody who's just a tank player. Anyone who comes in your game and says, I'm a tank player, is typically dog shit. You typically say, I play main tank or I play off tank. If someone comes in my chat and says, hey, I want to get better, and they tell me their heroes are Hog, Diva, Rhine, Winston, and Orisa, I go, why the fuck are you playing two different roles at once? Because you're playing dog shit. You don't even understand how to play the game. That's your first problem. So to sit there and be like, you're just whining. Do you even understand anything about the game, or are you fucking plat? Tell me you're plat without telling me you're plat. Jesus. I'm on fire. Stephen Timothy, thanks for the tier 1 as well. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But that's the problem. If you buff tanks, it's not about main tanks or off tanks. Just don't get it twisted. It has nothing to do with main tanks or off tanks. It has to do with the tank category, period. If you overbuff tanks to compensate, then it becomes tank diff every game, and tank players are dominating and everyone else doesn't have fun. If you underpower them, then the tank players are useless. They just stand there and try not to feed an AFK, and then the tank players don't have fun and they don't want to queue the role. You know what I think is that's the choice that they've made, because if they have one only tank player, it's more likely because it'll reduce queue times by 50% by only having one of those. Removing one DPS is better? No, that's definitely ain't it either. Captain thanks for the 333 by the way. Just no. Ocelus, thanks for the huge 1500 bits. New maps look great. That's true.
I didn't even know what's going on.
Never had a better time than right now. Nacho, thanks for the 200 for 6 months. And my friend, thanks for the huge 5 gifted as well. Appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much. Like, I hate to say it, but like, there's so many people that just don't understand. Like, you sit there and like, you're whining, but you don't even have an understanding of the game. That's like me talking about like the economy and saying like, you know, how a certain company going out of business would greatly affect the stock market, and you fucking are still in fucking second grade doing coloring books. Like, what is your opinion at that point? You don't even understand. You have no idea what the repercussions is. Like, you're saying like, oh, you can't go fucking buy your favorite bag of chips from a store. It's like, I don't care the store closed down. It's gonna fucking ruin everything in this whole, you know what I mean? Like, that's what we're talking about. Like, that's literally the levels we're talking about.
I'm on fire.
Some of us are lower than top 2 tank. No, 100%. I'm not stupid. Like, I know that, but you're not sitting there going, you're just whining, are you? I don't think you are. Little Stick, by the way, thanks for the huge tier 1. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you're not, then it doesn't affect you. I'm talking specifically to people like, you're just crying, you're just whining. It's like, have you ever been to my stream? How often does that happen? Like, other than just like, damn, this doesn't feel good, man, fuck. Like, this is like legitimately real. Removing roll lock won't help it either, though.
I was excited about, and now I couldn't care less about it. They've literally said fuck you to pretty much every tank player. They better give us a 6v6 mode, guarantee it would be more populated.
No, it honestly wouldn't, because the competitive play and quick play are what keeps the game alive. And if you isolated those, you'd isolate the player base even more, and they ain't gonna do that. They already kind of wish they didn't do quick play classic, because it made it even more sparse. I mean, look at the people's tweets that were on it, that were like, yeah, like they're not excited. Nobody's excited. People are open-minded. People are like, yeah, fuck it, I'm open-minded, but nobody's excited. I think it is set in stone entirely, unless there's a major pushback. Like, it has to be major. I think Swazzle duo with me again. Not wrong. What's major pushback look like? You'll know it when you see it. Tweeting and Overwatch doesn't do anything. The social media manager ain't there. So is it impossible to balance 5v5 or the tank role? I'm struggling with this hard. My opinion, then they would have to make a rotation of like what becomes the strongest tank every once in a while. Like, everything being balanced would be really tough. Dude, imagine we literally went through fucking BlizzCon. We went through BlizzCon. Got no PvP shit. Got put in the dark and said, wait. And then we got handed that. I honestly don't care if SCP is arguing for it. That it's dog shit. Their community is there is like a few creators that are like, yeah, like, you know, like I'm either open to it or saying yeah. It's 110% dog shit. I literally don't care. Like, I'm not trying to be ignorant. I'm not trying to be rude. I genuinely do not care. I genuinely do not fucking care. They want to talk about it? We'll talk about it. They want to talk about it? We'll talk about it.